Hey bag ladies and bag dudes, I'm Sarah Lawson from So Sweetness. This is my husband Danny and you're watching Ask Sarah, my weekly Q&A chat. Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us for Ask Sarah. I see Peggy's watching from Oklahoma. Come on, Danny. Debbie's watching from California. I was going to guess that since I said that you would just zoom through them at super speed. But
there's a lot of comments are not a little close.
We're finally having a few nice days here in Chicago. Sunny weather, warm, which for us, like 40s and 50s is warm, right? I consider that warm this time of year. I wanted to show you this new water bottle that I purchased. I know I definitely don't drink enough water or liquids to begin with, and so I looked around on Amazon for water bottles with timers. What's so funny? Lillian says Danny falling asleep. Yeah, Danny was pretty tired earlier today.
I wasn't tired at all.
Well, earlier today.
Okay.
You were on your computer and you like fell asleep for a minute, so.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
I just didn't want to do any more work.
Anyway, so I found this water bottle on Amazon. There's a whole bunch that have times on them, so you probably can't see from this distance, but the water bottle has times by the hour, so 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11, 12, and then when you reach noon, you're supposed to fill the bottle up again. So this is my second bottle of the day. I'm a little behind, but on the other side, it's 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3, 4, and 5. So this is supposed to keep you on track with drinking your water for the day. I know it seems really childish, but I find it helpful to have the times written on there. So if I have this at my computer with me, if I look over at 9 a.m. and it's 9 o'clock and I haven't hit that mark, I tell myself, all right, so drink some water. And sometimes I try to get a little ahead. And it has an infuser, this little plastic cage on the inside where you can put fruits or vegetables. I've tried different fruits. Today I had pineapple, which is pretty good. I've tried mango. Strawberry was my least favorite, but I got some blueberries today to try out tomorrow. And it doesn't turn your water into like juice tasting, but it just gives it like a mild background flavor to it, which I kind of like. And I'm not having iced water. I just have room temperature, but cold water. So far, so good. I feel like I'm keeping on track, and I feel a little bit... I don't know if I've noticed a difference yet, but I definitely noticed that I've had to use the bathroom a whole lot more during the day, which I guess is good because that's a recognition that you're drinking enough water, I suppose. So anyway, found this on Amazon, and you want to just look for one with the times on it if you're interested in something like that. Also, I know this is not sewing related, but I thought it was kind of cool. William's 12. He's really into Rubik's Cubes. He's got about a dozen of them. Right now he's working on solving the 4x4, but he solved his 2x2. He's got a 3x3. He solved that one. He taught me how to solve this one. I do not recall. He solves this one really fast. It's all based on, would you call them algorithms or different...
I think he calls them that, actually.
Okay. Different algorithms, like different steps where you turn...
If this is this, then do that. If this is that, then do that. But
he got this panda bear the other day, and it's basically only 4...
It's a 2x2.
It's like a 2x2, 4 in the front and 4 in the back. And when he got it, I was like, oh, that looks so easy. You're going to solve it. I mean, there's really hardly any pieces to it. But it took him a few days to solve it. He finally solved it, and I said, did you figure out an algorithm for the panda, or did you just get lucky? And he said he just got lucky. So... I think he's going to have to play with it some more, but it's pretty cute.
I told him to take like a dry erase marker and mark each corner with a color. So when you start and you put it back together, it'll be easy to figure out.
Yeah, I thought that might be helpful as well, but I don't know. Who knows? All right, so before we get into some sewing stuff, we'd like to invite all the bag ladies and bag dudes to let us know in the comments either on Facebook or YouTube. Go ahead and type either bag lady or bag dude right now. We really appreciate the supportive bag making community. I'm a member of several other Facebook groups, depending on other things that I'm interested in besides sewing. And in a couple of the groups today, I noticed people were getting a little angry. One of my Facebook groups, people have been swearing before, and I've never seen anything remotely like that in the So Sweetness group. So thank you not only for being polite adults, but for being supportive of others when people post photographs of their finished bags or they post questions. Everyone is outstanding and super helpful. So thanks for being part of the community. So we have the Sublime Bags Sew Along going on right now in the Facebook group. We've in the past week, we hit week 2 of the sew along. It's a 6-week sew along, so plenty of time to get your bag going. The week 1 winner we wanted to announce. So the week 1 assignment was to post a photo in the group album of your fabric cut out and your interfacing cut out and fabric attached to interfacing. So each week we'll announce a randomly drawn winner out of all those who submit a photograph in that particular week's album. So the week 1 winner, Danny's going to post the photo of the week 1 winner's assignment. So the week 1 winner is Sandy Wood. Congratulations to you, Sandy. Each week leading up to the finale, we'll have $25 gift certificates. So congratulations to you, Sandy. If you wouldn't mind emailing me so I could set up your prize, and my email is sarah@sewsweetness.com, and we'll announce future winners on the show, and then at the end, big prizes, and we'll be posting some of the photographs of the finished bag. So I'm really excited based on the fabric selections, and I was glancing at the week 2 assignments. I'm really excited at the fabric choices, and I can't wait to see the finished bags. Very exciting. All right, let's get over to your pick of the week.
Well, it just so happened when we had our meetup this past week, Saturday night, I sat next to a nice young lady, and she was describing what she was working on. And she told me he had grunge, it was the Ada West backpack. And in my head, I know what the backpack looks like, sorta, because I see a lot of Cumberland and now the Park Sling backpack. So I wasn't sure what it was going to look like. And she showed me some pictures of the fabric and stuff. I'm like, oh, it's going to be pretty cool. Today I was going through the list, and I was like, oh, what sticks out at me? What jumps out? And guess what? It was Theron's Ada West backpack. Let me show it to y'all. It's on here somewhere. There it is. She did grunge on the outer. She has it looks like navy cork on top, or is that?
It does look like navy. Yep.
And she did blue grunge on the inside. I like the mesh pockets she put on the outside for probably water bottles or something you want to stick in there quick. It just looks great. I love the colors. That's my Park Sling bag is pretty much the similar color setup.
Scheme. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same, like the navy with the grays, and I really liked it. It appealed to me a lot. It gave a lot of character to that bag that I've not seen before, and I thought it was pretty cool. So 2 thumbs up.
Great job, Theron. Awesome
Great
bag.
job. Yeah.
Awesome backpack. Yeah, it turned out great. And it's nice seeing the bags sometimes in like neutrals or gender neutral fabric, so came out awesome. All right, so we'd like to invite you now, if you enjoy our live shows and you enjoy the sewing tutorial videos, if you're watching on Facebook, we'd like to invite you to hit the share button right now. Share this sewing video with your other sewing friends on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, I hope you will consider subscribing so that you can be notified every time we're ready to go live or we post a new video to the YouTube channel. And regardless, the likes help us out so much as well, and the like just looks like a thumbs up icon on your screen. So
I've been trying to get Sarah to say it's like, comment, and subscribe. And you guys do a great job with the comments because I see them constantly. So just make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube, and like it if you're on YouTube or Facebook.
All right. Thank you so much for doing that. So now we're coming up to the part of the show where I answer some questions live.
I feel like I get more room now since the logo's gone. I don't have to be so tight next to you.
Oh, okay. Well, if you have a question for me,
get off my armrest.
Go ahead and type it in the comments. Either a sewing related question, bag making question about a notion or tool. Go ahead and type your question in the comments.
I don't have a picture, but I could just show it to you.
Oh,
I happen to
okay.
have it right here.
Debbie says, any pictures of your in-progress bag, Danny?
Yeah, it's actually right here. Woo. It's the same progress as last time. I mean, halfway cut out, almost there.
I think you're going to need to do a little, just like advance a little bit, because I feel like people are going to get tired of asking you like how it's going.
Tamra at the get-together offered to come and help me finish my project, so I thought that was a great offer. And I might have to help her, have to take her up on that offer, since I have no one around here that wants to give me a hand, lead me in the right direction. I know we have the videos. Trust me, I've seen them. I've edited them.
I'm happy to help you. I just feel like I guess we haven't talked about it, but is your version of help like me standing next to you the whole time and like being like, all right, Danny, do this. Now do this.
No, it's like, hey, Danny, this is a good tip. Do this when you're on this step. All right, you finish that step, come talk. Do this at the next step.
But you could watch the video, can't
I
you?
sure could, but it was nice having a helpful hand when it's like, in person.
I thought that's why we did the videos, though. I don't know. I'm just saying.
It's, the videos are great, but it's even better when you have the person living with you. That's right there. It's like, hey, Sarah, come here.
All right.
I got a question for you.
We'll just let it go.
Laura says, it's not going to be like, I'm sure it's every week until I sew it.
Laura says, question for Sarah. I watched your video on the Clyde Bank. What is the best way to top stitch that monster, please? Good question. I know every machine's different. Mine didn't struggle with the top stitching, but there's a few things that you could do to make it easier. I'm not sure, depending on what foot you're using, a walking foot might help you with the thickness if that's what's troubling you. There's a couple things you can do before top stitching to kind of flatten out that area. You can use a clapper, which is kind of like a block of wood. Hit the areas with steam from your iron and then put the clapper on top of each area. It's basically a wooden block, and the clapper kind of traps the steam in there a little bit longer so that it can compress that area before top stitching. Or what I like to do very often, especially if you're using different materials that you can't iron, is I like to put Wonder Clips on all the areas before top stitching or when the bag's finished. The Wonder Clips placed on the areas for an hour or two will also compress the areas, especially compress the foam temporarily so you can get a nice top stitch. So those are a couple tips, and I usually like to lengthen my stitch length for top stitching. My normal stitch length is 2.5 millimeters, and I like to usually lengthen to 3 millimeters. And your machine might be a little different, but that's what I do on my machine.
So the one I went by, it said, Danny, you want an accountability partner? I'm pretty sure I'm going to have it getting going pretty soon. So I won't need one, but thank you.
I added foam interfacing to cork, and in turning the fabric, even though I left it out of the seam allowance, it caused fold lines in the cork where it was attached. Any ideas? Fold lines in the cork. Can you think of what that question is?
I read it. I didn't understand. I thought maybe you'd understand
better. I'm not entirely sure, but you can either leave a follow-up question in the comments or feel free to email me, and maybe you just need a little bit more room to clarify your question. My email is sarah@sewsweetness.com, Sarah with no H, and I'm happy to help. I just wasn't sure. I thought, well, you weren't either, so
what about,
sorry about that.
Anything, if you do have fold lines in cork, is there a way to remove fold lines? Say if the cork was folded like this and I left it there, and all of a sudden it's got like a crease in it or something.
I mean, if for whatever reason the cork was folded and creases were left in it, you could try to iron the back of it, even with a little steam, but that would be before attaching to interfacing, so that's why I wasn't sure about the question.
Gotcha.
Kim says, Sarah, with postage, how long would it take to get to my address in Australia?
I bet Brown would be the better answer to that question.
Honestly, international shipping depends. Actually, I had an email from someone today who, I think they said they ordered on March 29th, and they're in Canada, and they got their order today, which is, how many days is that? That's really quick for Canada.
Well, customs can always hold stuff up, so you may send it right away. It gets there, and it gets flagged or targeted, and they go through the stuff and give you a little note.
If I had to make a best guess, I'd say maybe 2 weeks approximately, but again, like you mentioned, it kind of depends. Susan says, is it too late to put feet on the Clyde Bank when the Peltex is already glued on the foam? No, it's not. Actually, you could put the purse feet in all the way up until the very end before you close the opening in the lining. Of course, it will be easier to install the purse feet after your piece is flat. Actually, it's perfect that the Peltex is already in because it gives the purse feet something extra to hang on to, like some more stability, and it also kind of fixates that Peltex in there so that it's like firmly installed inside. So yeah, either when the bottom panel's flat after all the interfacing's attached, or when your bag's completely finished before you close up the opening in the lining. Bronwyn says, not too late to join the Sew Along peeps. Check out the announcements on Facebook with the PDF. Yeah, great point. Because they've only completed steps up to step 11 in the Sublime Bag sewing pattern, you still have plenty of time to jump in late. If you were thinking about it, or maybe this is the first that you've heard about it, I hope you will join in because it's going to be a lot of fun. Mary says, what stitch length do you use for top stitching? I normally use 3mm stitch length for top stitching, and you can always do a little bit of a practice before you get started with the top stitching. Ideally, the purpose of lengthening the stitch length for top stitching is generally you have a bit of an extra thickness, especially if you're top stitching the top edge of the bag when you have all the layers of interfacing and fabric. Without lengthening your stitch length, your stitches, because of the thickness, will tend to run together and be really tight up close together and not look as nice. So that's why we like to lengthen the stitch length.
There's 2 comments I thought were funny. I'm not going to put the other one. The other one says, Danny, are you whining? And Danny, it's awful hard to sew with one hand being held by someone else. But I have a lot of positive support. I don't want to post them all. I do appreciate all the positive support I'm getting. But those 2 stood out as very funny.
And Corey says, don't worry, Danny, no one helps me either. But those videos of Sarah's are amazing. Oh, those were some funny comments.
Yeah, this is a good comment too.
Kathleen says, I want to give a shout out to Michelle for all her hard work putting the list of bags with supplies needed. Yeah, Michelle has been very busy putting a bunch of documents together in the Facebook group, and you can find those in the Facebook group under the Files tab. Gloria says, hello, Danny and Sarah. Question for Sarah. Have you ever thought of making Canon cameras carriers? Is that, I'm not entirely sure what that is. I've seen before like a little carrier for a lens. I'm not sure if that's what it is or if it's a full out camera bag. This is my mom.
It's your dad, actually.
Oh, it's from my dad, commenting on my mom's screen name, Man Up and Do It from Bob. Oh, that's a good one.
There's so many good comments coming through. I don't want to just flood them all, make this about me, but...
Oh, the funny comments remind me of, I don't normally watch home renovation shows, but Danny turned one on last night and then he left the room, so I finished watching toward the end, and they had a sign in their workshop that said, so normally, I think we're all familiar with the saying, measure twice, cut once, and they had a sign that said, measure once, curse twice, which I thought was pretty funny.
A lot of people are saying, Sarah, help him. You're right there. You can keep tabs on him and get lots of favors.
I'll help you. I just don't want to spend an 8-hour workday, like, standing next to you, directing you what to do. That's my concern.
We can do it on evenings where it's not work hours, Okay. I'm
Okay.
trying to find comments. There's mostly comments come through, not too many
Okay.
questions.
Here,
A
there's
tutorial. There's one down there. Just went by a tutorial.
Okay.
We do have one.
Lori says, hey, Sarah, do you have a tutorial on working with cork bags specifically? If not, would you consider making one? Yeah, it's actually, is it the very first video that we ever made?
It was definitely
one of the earlier ones.
It was in the dungeon recording.
Yeah, it was in our basement dungeon. But if you search either on the YouTube channel or on my website, I have a tutorials tab. If you just search for how to sew with cork, it should come up on the YouTube channel. Vivian said, I found putting a new needle in before I top stitched help. Yeah, that's a really good suggestion.
That's probably something people, well, I can't judge, but changing needle is probably not done often enough because you probably wouldn't think about it, right?
I usually change it at the beginning of a project, but it's really a really good idea to change it at the end instead, because that's when you want the stitches to look nicer for the top stitching. Maybe I'll try to change my habit and do that. Cheryl says, is there a rule of thumb when making a bag as to which way the fabric goes for the outer and lining fabrics when the fabric is directional? So I'm not sure if this question was in regards to this, but in my patterns, the measurements are listed as length times height. So length going this way and height this way. So the first number in the pattern is the length. So if you're using directional fabric, say if you have a panda on your fabric, you want it to be length times height like this. If that was not what the question was, feel free to leave a follow-up comment and I'll address it. And Vivian says, I think she means she kept the interfacing out of the seam line and it creased when the interfacing ended. Oh, so did it get like a pucker maybe? Perhaps. Cindy says, I bought some things from the United States a while back. Took 2 weeks to get to me in Australia. Good to know. That 2 weeks sounds kind of reasonable. Bronwyn says, 10 days average time to get to me. Depends if it gets on a flight at the right time. I've had it in 4 days, but that's unusual. 4 days? Wow, that's crazy. So, we do live in Chicago, and we live like 10 minutes away from O'Hare. So if the package was leaving the country, it would go to O'Hare. before it left, and I'm not sure if that makes it faster or not. Helen says, Kim, my order from Sarah took a week and a half to arrive in Melbourne. And then, sorry, I saw you were posting another one. Arlene says, Sarah, I purchased a 1/4-inch foam from the fabric store. I'm now wondering if it will sew well on the sewing machine. So the foam interfacings tend to vary in thickness. I feel like the Pellon Flex foam is the thickest as far as the width goes. I think it's about almost a 1/4 of an inch wide, maybe. The By Annie Soft and Stable seems to be the thinnest, and there's Bosal Inner Form, which seems to be the most dense. Is there another way to explain the most dense?
If you squeeze it, it's most firm.
Okay, that's a good way. Thank you. I feel like they should all go through the sewing machine relatively easy, though. I wouldn't say just because the Pellon Flex foam is thicker, it'll be more difficult. I've found that I've had an easy amount of time with all three of those. Amanda says, what pressure level and tension setting do you typically have set on your machines? It depends on what you're sewing with and if your fabric is shifting as it's going through the feed dogs. So I highly recommend, there's a book that I reviewed on Social Sunday a couple months ago called You and Your Sewing Machine. It's very helpful for all of these intricate questions. However, the tension, there's a really good series of step photos in that book illustrating tension, so you know when to dial back your tension a little bit so it's not as pressing as firmly. I have my tension set on my Juki. I think it's the second to last bar on my machine, but obviously everyone's machine will be different. Carol says, what is the best bag for beginners? I highly recommend either the Baker Street bag or the Easy Leather Hobo bag, and those are both free patterns and videos on the YouTube channel. I feel like out of the two, I feel like more people have made the Baker Street bag, but the Hobo bag, I feel is a close second. And Margie says, does your dad sew? Let's get him making a bag. He doesn't, but my mom actually finished. I know she's working on her second Dab Essential Oil case, which I apologize. Normally I try to get the Minikins monthly challenges up on the blog near the beginning of the month, but I'm having a little bit of an issue with the tool that I use for the little thumbnail pictures that people can enter. The April Minikins challenge will be for the Dab Essential Oil case. It reminded me when I was talking about my mom's. But my mom's came out really great. Did you see the pictures?
I did not see the pictures. I've been waiting for them because your dad threatened my life if I don't post it for my Pick the Week. So Pick the Week coming soon.
Doreen says, Sarah, any chance of a yoga mat bag in the future? Yeah, I've kind of been doing some research on what people would use in or need to put in a yoga bag. I was thinking of 2 different versions, but I'm still thinking about that one. And Bonita says, do you ever make complete kits with patterns? I always love your fabric choices. So we do sell fabric, 2-packs and 5-packs of Tula Pink fabric, but I've not yet sold any kits with all the interfacing and actual fabrics because I feel like fabric is so subjective. But we could certainly consider that for in the future. Casey says she's trying to tell you that you are work. Is that about you?
Yeah, like I'm the work 8 hours, blah blah blah. I did get her Cadbury eggs recently, by the way, just so you know. I think it was Sunday.
You did, but they're gone already. I was gonna mention something else and I've forgotten already. I'm sure it'll come to me. Sadly have to go to sleep. It's 2 p.m. here and work tomorrow. Can I see this later? Wow, you stayed up late. Thanks so much for staying up late for the show. The recordings of the show are always available on YouTube or Facebook at any time, so you don't always necessarily have to watch live if you have something else going on. You can watch anytime in the week, or even, I know some people watch past episodes to keep them company while they're sewing, so they'll always be available. And we don't have ads on our YouTube channel, so you don't need to be interrupted while you're watching our recordings of our videos with an ad every 2 minutes. You can just enjoy the video straight through. Janet says, any secrets to make all those curves even in the Moto pouch? So I feel like maybe it's different depending on the sewist, but for me personally, I find that I have the most success with sewing through curves number one, if I sew slowly, and number 2, if I keep it going. So, and I still do this to this day, but if I'm sewing a curve and I kind of stop halfway through, or when I get near the middle of the curve, it never seems to look as smooth of a curve as if I kept sewing. So I try to sew as slow as possible and then keep the fabric moving so I can continuously sew through the curve. That's what served me the best, at least. Hey, Sarah, why don't you give Danny certain steps to do? When he's completed them, give him a gold star, and he can have a step-by-step chart. Actually,
that's what I imagined, honestly, like as for help.
That sounds like a good idea. We could make a big poster, and
I can make a little graphic on here. This week's progression.
That's a good idea. Can we? Can we seriously do that?
Sure.
And then people don't have to ask; they can just look forward to seeing your chart.
See my little picture
and your little star next to it. Violet can color you a little gold star every time you complete a task. Carrie says, Sarah, would you consider doing a video tutorial on different types of zippers? Actually, we do have that already. It's on the YouTube channel. If you search on YouTube under the So Sweetness channel, types of zippers, you'll find that tutorial video. And also, if you go to the So Sweetness website, we have a tab for tutorials and bag making techniques, and it'll be there as well. Robin says, I keep an empty pill bottle by my machines for disposal of needles. That's a great idea. I really should be more diligent about doing that. I tend to just stick them in the garbage, like stick it in something, but I know that's not the safest method, certainly. Maggie Ann says, have you thought of making any more scrap buster projects? Actually, one of the book club projects will be, I guess, sort of a scrappy project. I actually purchased new fabric, and I'm not using scraps for mine, but it's definitely a scrap buster project, and that'll be coming perhaps next month or the month after. Janet says, Danny, do you guys still have the lights that you demoed?
We only have one lights demoed, sir. The sewing machine lights.
Oh, those.
I've not demoed another light.
Sorry, it didn't ring a bell. We do still sell the LED sewing machine lights, and you can find those on the So Sweetness website in the shop under the Notions subtab.
Someone said, the comments are coming through right now pretty quick, and someone said they'd love to meet your parents and your grandmother. I think it'd be a great show.
I tried to get my parents on. When was it? Was it around Christmas or something?
Yeah.
I think it was, and they kind of didn't want to, but maybe.
Well, I think your dad did, but he wanted to freestyle it, and Sarah's like, I'll ask you some questions. Like, I'll just come on to hi, and Sarah's very structured with that stuff, so it's like, we'll see. It didn't work out.
Well, no, I would have asked a couple questions and to make it like a show,
yeah, so
like a guest on a show.
For sure, I know, like an interview.
Monique says, do you have a duffel style bag? I have a couple. The Emblem duffel bag, that one has a video already. The Coalition bag comes in a duffel size and also a handbag size. What else?
I think you should totally do a monthly segment, like one episode a month, and have ask Oma a question about sewing and incorporate it in the show somehow. She's a very interesting and intelligent lady and very funny.
That's a good idea. And Alma stays up pretty late, so she'd be able to come on the show.
We could even record it even.
Yeah, that's true. We could.
I'm not sure what this means.
Lisa says, how about a pattern for the LED light tables? Oh, I think LED light tables. Does that mean the Sew Steady, the clear acrylic tables that you put on your sewing machine, like a transport table for those? I'm not sure if that's what it is or not. I might be wrong, though. Charlie says, Sarah, when you make a bag, there will be people who want to make that exact bag. A friend who beads always has to sell kits with the exact colors of her samples because people want that.
Like that Renegade.
That makes sense. We could. It would have been a good kit because so many people emailed me to ask the Clyde Bank. Yep. Yeah, the Clyde Bank tote. Pretty much everyone wanted that blue fabric that I used for mine, which unfortunately isn't available. But I'd love to find a few bolts and we could sell it in kits. That would be awesome. Wendy says, any chance of the video tutorial for the Edelweiss bag coming out soon? I haven't thought too far ahead as far as the 4-packs. I do know what the next one's going to be. It's not going to be in that one. Eventually, we hope to have videos for all the patterns because that would be really awesome. But I was looking at our video library the other day and counting how many videos we've done, and including the minikins, and I think we're over 50, which makes me pretty proud because that's a lot of videos in almost 2 years to film. So good job with the filming on that. Casey says gold stars are for babies.
It's probably adequate then.
Shorten the stitch length for going around curves makes it a lot easier. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Thank you. I will definitely try that next time I need to sew with curves. Sonia says, I hand base the curves before sewing so I don't have to worry about the clips or pins. That's a good strategy too. They do have those, what are they called? Magic clips where you can actually sew over them. I still like using my Wonder Clips, but I've tried those in the past, and you can actually sew over them. Bronwyn's bag. So Danny's bag will be like a sew-along. He needs Michelle to give him weekly tasks. Yeah, that is kind of like a sew-along.
Yeah. So multiple people said this could be a great sew-along because your progress would be so slow, like a snail. They didn't say exact. That's why I read it, but it didn't say that exactly.
Oh, okay. Oh. But you do want to finish it, don't you?
Yeah, I do, because I know once I finally get the rest of the interior pieces cut out, it's gonna go fast. Because the sewing part, I'm excited about trying doing. It's just cutting that stuff out is what's. I think I'm just.
I mean, if I helped you cut the rest out, would that be better? Or?
I hear you want to cut it out. Is that what you just said?
Well, I mean, I do have a lot of other stuff
No,
to
I'm
do.
just kidding. I'm only kidding. No, I want to cut it out so I can say I did it all myself.
And wouldn't you be so proud, like, carrying that backpack, like, say, to pick
We'll
the
see
kids
how
up
it looks
from
when
school?
it's finished first.
It's going to look
No,
awesome.
I wouldn't care to pick the kids up from school, because why would I be wearing a backpack?
Well, like, in the summer, if we go to the park and people will be like, oh, I like your backpack, and you'd be like, yeah, I made it. Wouldn't that be... Would you say that you made it or no?
I need to add a little sound here. It says, like, crickets. Like, chirp, 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 chirp. What were you saying?
Roxanne says, what size zipper do you use for interior pockets in your bags? Actually, both sizes, either the number 3 just skirt zipper or the handbag zipper look great for lining zipper pockets. I've used both. They both work well with the measurements in my sewing patterns. There's really no modification that you need to make. Just if you prefer the longer pull in your zipper pocket, then go with the handbag zipper. Debbie says a meet and greet would be fun.
I think so. We need to travel and go to different states and just do meet and greets. It'd be a great idea.
Christina says Sarah's mom is awesome. Got to meet her at the retreats.
I love Sarah's mom. I think we have a very similar outlook on life with, just stuff that's funny and not funny. And she totally gets, and when she says something funnier, I get something funny. Not necessarily Sarah or her dad get the funny part of it so much, but she's a very nice lady. Any templates coming?
No, because we're like about out of room. I know if
I'm glad you said that, because I just saw last week's show when you demonstrated those Tula pink ribbons. And someone asked during the show, and I posted the question, Sarah, where do you get those ribbons? You didn't say, yeah, go to my shop. They're like, no, go to the link and follow it. And then in my head, it sounds really weird that she would say that. And I'm thinking, why is she demoing that exactly when she has so many of them? Well, she's probably selling them in the shop, I'm guessing, right?
But did you see how thin the packets were? They really take up no space.
I'd love to see how big the box was that came.
It's really small. Have Violet sit by you and encourage you. Yeah, she's good encouragement for stuff.
I think honestly I should do like a Twitch live stream. And I could have the people watching the live stream with me while I'm doing the work. And them helping me finish the thing. That'd be pretty cool, interactive. Then you're off the hook, right?
I guess. I don't know. Don't you still need help?
Well, the people watching the stream would be helping.
Oh, I see.
I have like an overhead view maybe, and it could be fun. Who knows? Cutting's my least favorite part too so far. But it's the only part I've tried, so.
I've been in a rut the last week and a half. I need to work on... I have 2 patterns that I cut out and I'm like in the middle of. One is the next book club pattern and the second one's a brand new pattern. I think I got stuck because I finished sewing the brand new pattern and it wasn't right. Like I needed to fix some of the dimensions of it and make some adjustments. So I have to start over. So I think that kind of threw me off a bit because now I don't feel like working on anything really, which is bad because we have a lot of stuff to do. Creative Mama of 3 says, every time we see Sarah's pants, they are a funky print. I think you need to add this to the show. What pants is Sarah wearing today? I have polar bears on my pants right now.
I think you stood up probably once you could grab something.
I wasn't planning on grabbing anything. But wait, can I answer the question first?
Yeah, it'll be right there. I'm not
okay.
Watch, just be like, phew.
All right. Polar bears. So, thankfully we don't have laundry to fold tonight after the show because we did it last night. So... It was a lot of laundry. You almost had to force William to fold his, though, right?
Yeah, everyone doesn't want to do it, and then once they
Nobody
do it,
wants to fold laundry, but
I don't mind folding laundry. I don't.
Everyone sure gets cranky though when they can't find where's my jeans
That's
or
the
where's
best
this
part
shirt.
with that sewing the folding technique and put it in your drawers in certain ways and stuff. It's so much easier finding what you're looking for, and I love that.
Beth says, Sarah, sometimes you sew with the side panel down on the base of your machine, and sometimes you sew with the front back panel on the base. And how do you determine which is best? I'm not really. I'm not sure how to explain this properly. So oftentimes, depending on the style of the bag, I like to sew with the side panel on the bed of my machine and the main panel. I'm trying to figure out how to say this properly. I just feel like I can get a better tilt on the bag, again, depending on the style, if the side panel's on the bed of my machine, because I can tilt the bag so that it's kind of sideways. Do you know how to explain that any better than I'm explaining?
I was reading comments. I wasn't listening.
Okay. The question was, why do I sometimes sew with the side panel on the bed of my machine? And I started to explain that...
Oh, when you're sewing forward so it doesn't bunch up or get in the way as you're going?
Yes, that, but maybe you recall sometimes when we're filming, like if I want...
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like the bag's covering the camera.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I just
Why
feel
are you doing it like that?
I just feel like the method is easier to get less puckers because I can tilt it and orient that way.
The most flat surface maybe as well.
Right, that's true too.
So it's not like being pulled
Sorry,
off
I wish I had a better way to explain it.
When you're going around a curb, so for instance like this.
But I don't always do it.
You're not consistent? That I couldn't tell you.
No, I feel like most of the time I do have this if it has a side panel, but not every bag has a side panel, so.
Yep.
Sorry, I got off on a tangent there. Charlie says, I bought both sets of those ribbons, and I've never used ribbons. They are gorgeous. Yeah, the colors are so bright.
They're great on the filigree bag. That's when I first got introduced to ribbons. And Sarah made one. I love quilting a bag, so that's part of it as well. But the ribbons look very cool. It was a unique thing you can add to any other fabric to make it sort of like tulip pinkish.
Or even if you just made like a Minikins Bellevue or even like a flat zipper pouch, having the ribbons down the middle makes it like super dressed up. You could even use like just regular solid fabrics or denim or something else, and the ribbons would really make the project pop and be really special.
It's not that I don't trust them. I have something better.
Good thing your bag ladies and bag dudes trust Sarah's videos more than Danny does. Well, that's a good question. I saw it and I thought, Laura says, question for Sarah, someone that is wanting to make patterns, what is a good program to use? Actually, it was our Christmas Day show this past year. So if you look on the YouTube channel for the video that we posted on December 25th, I showed my studio at the beginning, and then the last half of the show, we had a pre-recorded video showing my whole process for pattern writing. So I show the programs that I use and everything that's involved. So you might want to check out that video. Again, it's on the YouTube channel, and it's the video from December 25th, 2018. Good question. Linda says, when do you use a Teflon foot? So the purpose of a Teflon foot is, so your regular foot is made of metal. Your Teflon foot has, it kind of looks like plastic, like white plastic. And the purpose of the Teflon foot is to glide over any sticky or shiny surfaces. So like leather, vinyl, cork, potentially depending on the humidity or your climate. Clear vinyl, laminated fabric, anything that is shiny or your regular metal foot will stick to it. That's when you should use either a Teflon foot or a walking foot. And then Hope says, what is the book for next month so we can go ahead and get it?
Someone said you're not going to mention till after later.
Yes, I'm going to announce it on April 16th after the book club discussion. I wasn't, initially the third selection I wasn't sure about because I read some things about it that made me not sure. But after my failed attempt at reading The Dressmaker and deciding that one wasn't going to be used for the book club, I thought, what the heck? So I read this other book that I thought we weren't going to use for sure. And it was amazing. Like, it was one of those books where I was like so excited to get up to bed every night so I could keep reading it, but it's really long. Again, I'll announce that on April 16th. Ruth says, I think you try to keep the flat part on the bed of the machine. Yes, that's a much better way of explaining it than I did. Wendy says, can you use those ribbons as drawstrings on shorts or pants? I think probably not because I have them right here, so let me grab one. So these tulip pink ribbons, while they look pretty on the front, they're woven on the back, which means there's like threads showing. So if they were used on drawstring shorts or pants, I could see the threads getting snagged when you throw them in the wash or just wearing them out every day. There's a couple of the ribbons that were double-sided. Like, for instance, this polka dot was double-sided. That could be used for drawstrings on shorts or pants.
Could you put make this in a piping and almost, put that cord in there, then sew the cord down, then use that as a drawstring?
I guess, but then the design is like...
Well, you would have to know
folded
it's
in
there. Yeah,
half.
you don't see it small.
Yeah, you could for sure use the double-sided prints, though, like the polka dots. Though.
I totally forgot about this one.
Okay. Christina says, Brian trusts Sarah's videos more than me. Get going, Danny. I want to see a zip installed next week. Yeah, I was thinking that in my head.
I was going to say, how's Brian doing on his park?
I didn't want to say anything because
bag.
it sounded like he was probably further than you were, but...
Chances are, I started off strong, then it's just been like, hit that wall.
Kathy says, do you schedule time to sew or do you sew whenever you find the time? Seems like there's always something else that needs done. I totally agree with that. I feel like I was struggling lately. When was it? At the meetup. I was talking, I think someone asked me about what I was sewing and I said, I seldom get time to sew if it's not for pattern, like a pattern I'm working on or we're making something for a video. I usually don't get to sew really. And then when I do sew like a quilt or something,
it's not enough time of the day.
I feel like it throws everything, the rest of the schedule off. So I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. Linda says, I'm making the Clydebank tote with soft and stable. Can you quilt it or must you use a fusible foam and not soft and stable? Yeah, you can for sure quilt it. If you are quilting your fabric to your interfacing though, you want to make sure that you rough cut it approximately 1 inch larger on all sides because especially if you're a quilter, you probably know this, but when you machine quilt anything, it usually tends to shrink down a little bit, so you want to account for that shrinkage. So after you quilt it, then you can cut it to size. Henry says, is there a project for every book we read? Yes, there will be. It's a 6-month book club. We'll be reading 6 books, and we'll have 6 brand new free projects and videos to go along with each book every month.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
Christina said.
What?
He's almost
Christina's
done.
husband, Brian, is almost done.
Well, you better send me some pictures on Facebook and give me a heads up, what I'm working against.
That's embarrassing.
Because if it's, already beaten mine, I might actually have to throw in the towel.
You didn't even finish cutting yours. What do you mean throw in the towel?
I mean, just finish it. I meant just finish it.
Oh, I thought you meant like give up and not work on it anymore.
No, I won't pose a question about it in the future. We'll never know. We won't speak of it. It's like Lord Voldemort. Can't say his name. Can't talk about Danny's sling backpack.
Elisat says, don't you sew with the larger piece on the bottom so to feed the fabric more evenly? If you're talking about what I was mentioning about the side panel, there's no right or wrong way. It's just whatever you feel comfortable with the layout of your machine. And my machine usually is like a free arm. I don't have the table attached to it ever. So sometimes that makes a difference too. Jennifer says, would the tube turning tool work for turning the handles on the Clydebank? I don't have a hemostat. I did try several different turning tools on the handles for the Clydebank. I tried the fast turn tool as well. It worked fine. The hemostat for me personally was just a little bit easier, but it can work as well. Michelle also posted in the Facebook group a few weeks back that she sewed a string onto the short ends of her Clydebank tote and then just pulled the string through to get that fed through so that it's turned right side out. So that might help you as well. When making the Clydebank tote, can you put the bottoms on the exterior and lining before you put the two together at the top? Let me think about that for a second. I'm not sure. I think I'm just getting tired. I'm sure I would normally know the answer. It's just not coming to me. Yeah, you probably could. Stephanie says the project that shall not be named.
I saw a lot of people mention that after it.
I see a lot of supportive Danny comments in there. Let's see. Susan
think
says,
so.
would a meet and greet be considered work? I don't know. That sounds like an
It's
accountant.
community building.
It sounds like an accountant question, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would have to get on the phone. Nate, what are you doing? I got a question. He's like, yeah, you should come to Texas first. That's what he's going to say. I guarantee it.
Our accountant is Danny's friend, so
Yes.
how long have you known him for?
Over 10 years.
Okay.
15 years.
He's only been our accountant for less than a year, so.
Yes.
Let's see. I see some helpful comments about turning the Clydebank in the comments. Oh, here we go. Can anyone tell me the current book? That's from Barb. So the current book, which we'll be talking about on April 16th, is called The Runaway, and it's written by Tracy Chevalier. So plenty of time to still get a copy if you'd like to participate in the discussion on the 16th. I've seen tons of comments in the Facebook group that it was an amazing book, and I loved it. So my mom read it too. She said, I think that was the one... My mom said one of them, she wasn't planning on reading it, but she was glad that she did, and I think it was that one.
That is where he's located, so. Austin, Texas.
Kim says, how would you add Insulite to a pocket? Insul-Bright, is that insulated fleece? I'm not sure if it is or not. Most insulated fleeces are sew-in interfacing, so you would just base those using 1/8 of an inch seam allowance to your fabric, like what you would do with attaching sew-in foam. If I'm reading that wrong and it's not insulated fleece, then let me know. You calling it on the questions?
That's it.
All right. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us for Ask Sarah.
Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate the kind comments.
Danny will be back next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday...
She's grounding me for not making my park sling bag.
Tamara will be back in 2 Tuesdays for the book club discussion, so really excited about that. And have a great week and happy sewing. Bye everybody.
Everyone.